Oh yeah, the NFL draft and rookies. Hell yeah.
Podcast off the rails already.
But there is not a chance in hell Justin Fields is finishing in the top 10.
You know what, Mikey? Shut it.
He wants
Why
it.
not?
You don't want the smoke.
He's Calvin Johnson. He's Calvin
Oh,
Johnson.
good.
Oh
God.
my
Yes,
God.
yes, yes, and yes.
What are we gonna do with you?
It just, it adds a little extra flavor to the podcast.
I think you're disrespecting David Njoku.
Thank God
Yeah.
for Joe Flacco. That's all I can say. I'll help the owners. Don't draft Kadarius Toney.
I have to give the people what they want. I mean, come on. I'm going to milk it. I'm going to milk it for all it's worth.
I'll give you something to milk.
Let's rock and roll.
MHA owners, how's it hanging? Well, we're just finishing week 6 here and almost halfway through the regular season of this MHA Fantasy Football League. Of course, we go 14 weeks, and then it's on to the playoffs, so plenty of season left to go. I'm Eric Lansing, along with Mikey Renault and Todd Diamond. Between the three of us, we all took an L this past week, so we decided to bring on a winner onto this week's podcast. So we're going to welcome in Kevin Hall, the owner of Eaton W's, K-Hall 52. Yeah, that's right. How we doing, K-Hall? How are things with you these days?
Literally the only reason I want to come on is so I can talk shit to Mikey for beating him this week.
I wondered
Handing
about
him that L.
Sneaking suspicion when he said you wanted to come on. I knew that was why.
I think it's a perfect
Three
reason.
times this week, or 3 times this year. When I beat Mikey, when I beat Todd, and when I beat Eric.
Well, everybody's beating Eric these days, so that's nothing to cheer about. But yeah, I was wondering why Kevin wanted to come on, because initially you sent me a text or group text on that. I had soccer, so I didn't really get a chance to look at it until later. But it says, man, I can't put together a starting lineup to save my life. And then he sends me a message. He goes, man, I need to be on this podcast. And I was like, why? Is you complain about how sorry or terrible your starting lineup capability is, whatever the case? And it looked like you ended up winning. So good for you. And thanks for joining us.
Of course. I mean, anytime I beat one of you guys, I'm happy to come on.
Oh, man. Well, so before we get into it, Kevin, just give it, how's life? How's things going? You have a new job, you're in a new house, and it seems like things are going well for you these days.
Everything's coming up Millhouse right now. Got
Love it.
literally it happened around the same time, about 2 months ago. Got a new job, got a new house. Things are going good. Loving it. Out here in California, living the dream. It's finally below 80 degrees. We had a huge stretch where it was like 100 degrees plus, and that was miserable. So happy to actually get fall weather out here and be a little happy about it.
So you're not in sports anymore. What's that like? I mean, you've been doing the sports thing since you graduated, but people love the sports life and they realize the grind and they get out of it and they're like, wow, I should have done this years ago.
People never realize what all goes into working in sports. You tell them when you meet them, like, oh, I work for the Lakers, I work for the Dodgers, and they say, oh, what a cool job. And my first thought is, you have no idea what you're even talking about. Because it is just brutal, beats you down. Whenever sports are on, that's when you're working. So you're working nights, you're working weekends. And now that I've moved on to a new job where I don't work nights or weekends, it is wonderful. Like, I feel like I have a life again. And so it's really exciting to be able to be like, oh, I can hang out in 3 weeks because I know what my schedule is going to be. Because beforehand, someone would be like, hey, do you want to go to this concert in a month? I'm like, don't know. There's a Lakers game that night. I might have it off. I might have to work. So really helpful that way.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people I've worked with that have moved on and then they come back to games and they're like, and I ask them, how's it life? They go, oh, I'm Eric, you have no idea. Like, to have Monday through Friday, nights and weekends available, and don't have to worry about the grind of practices and road games and blah, blah, blah. And so for me, it's year 16. I'm still enjoying the grind for the most part, but I always hear the happy faces, like even just talking to you, you can hear like the energy in your voice, like, man, this guy's likes what he's doing, as opposed to at some point where it gets a little bit too much. We'll go in depth about your matchup with Mikey a little bit later, but talk about your fantasy season here in this league. You're 3-3, you're 5th overall, although you're atop of our crappy Peyton Manning division. But how are you feeling about this fantasy team you have right now?
I feel like I've just dealt with a lot of injuries, some to my players, some to just player adjacents. So like I started out, I think 3-0, maybe 2-0, and then just had some bad weeks where I think I got dough of the week like 2 weeks in a row. But
Sorry.
but I mean, it's been like, oh, am I going to start Darnell Mooney over like Amari Cooper or Mike Evans or something like that? It's like, okay, that was a rough call. I didn't get that. And then like the week before, am I going to start Chase Brown over Breece Hall or Devin Singletary? Like at that time, no. And so just like a rough couple weeks. And so I thought full on it was going to be another one of those weeks where Joe Mixon coming back from injury. It's like, oh, they're not going to run him that much. Let's stick with Breece Hall and Chase Brown. And sure enough, Joe Mixon goes wild. And that's when I sent that chat to the group saying that I cannot start a lineup to save my life after seeing also Gabe Davis, who never I would have started him over my wide receivers, get 2 touchdowns in the early game.
Yes, the funds of fantasy football. You just don't know. You can make all these assumptions and try to I don't want to say outthink the coaches, but you're trying to get into the mind of a coach and what they may do with this player, and can be a little frustrating at times. Frustrating, just like your boy Mike Evans. Some days he's amazing, and other days he's nowhere to be found.
I mean, I tempered my expectations this week. He is either a boom or bust against the Saints.
Yeah.
Him and Marshawn Lattimore always have a lot of fun. So I was hoping that it would be a boom this week. But luckily the boom on my end was on the Detroit Lions defense against Dak Prescott.
Yes, and Mikey has Dak Prescott. So worked out well, I guess. One thing before we get into the news, Kevin, let's talk about your Tampa Bay Bucks. 4-2, Baker Mayfield looking like a top-notch NFL quarterback. How you feeling about that squad?
They really should be 5-1. They should have won that Falcons game on Thursday night. That was ridiculous to watch. Just that back and forth. No idea what happened against that Broncos game. That was ridiculous. But overall, I like where the team's at. Offense looks really good on their new offensive coordinator. Their defense has been banged up. This is the first game since like week 1 that they had Antoine Winfield back. And he comes back, scores a defensive touchdown. So that's a win.
That's awesome.
So I think these next couple weeks is going to be a real test because, I mean, they got the Ravens on Monday night. Then after that, they get the Falcons again, then the Chiefs, and then the Niners.
Ooh, so, goodness, that's a stretch.
If they can go 2-2 in those next 4 games, I'll be happy. As long as that win is against the Falcons so they can at least stay up in the division.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, life after Tom Brady. Looking like gravy now.
They've won the division like 3 years in a row.
Yeah, no, they've been good. They've been good even after Brady was gone. You know, a lot of people wondered, but they've been able to keep it going. All right.
They didn't win the division the first year with Brady.
What's that?
They didn't win the division the first year with Brady. They made it as a wild card.
Oh, well. Tom Brady did win you a Super Bowl, though, didn't he?
Yeah, which I'll always love him for.
Well, let's get into some news. Let's get into some of this fantasy football we call here at MHA.
I don't understand what the news is. It's just like, hey, here's a bunch of you can't fix that happened that was horrible.
Lots of news, and I'm going to go through this quickly. If you guys want to say something, just interrupt me. And there's probably news I didn't get to, but I tried to get to the most important stuff here. We'll start with Devontae Adams. He's got really good complaining skills in his repertoire. First, he complained his way to a Josh McDaniels firing last season, and this season he whined his way to get traded out of Las Vegas, and now reunited with his best buddy Aaron Rodgers. The lesson in his life is complain until you get what you want. So I'm going to complain until we can restart this 2024 season all over again and have a redo. Make that happen, Commissioner.
Do you honestly think that would help you?
No, not at all. Raiders received a 3rd-round pick in that trade that could turn into a 2nd-round pick. Another trade. How about Amari Cooper? Was traded to Buffalo after they realized that Josh Allen needs someone to throw to, for God's sakes. Browns get a 6th round, a 3rd round, and a 7th-round pick over the next couple of years. Saints wide receiver Rashid Shaheed could miss the rest of the season. He's about to have knee surgery. Depending on how the surgery goes, it could be the rest of the season. It could be 6 weeks. Not good for Mike Hugh. I think he's running around with Shaheed these days. Another Saints wide receiver, Chris Olave, going to miss the Thursday night game against the Broncos. I didn't realize he was even out on the field. He's not putting up fantasy stats, that's for sure. He stinks. Also not playing for the Saints, Derek Carr rolled out. Going to be rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler once again this week against the Broncos. Could be another win for Denver. The Pittsburgh Steelers could start Russell Wilson this week after he was cleared to play. So I guess winning games wasn't enough for Justin Fields to earn that starting job. Whining and winning, ladies and gentlemen. Brave new world in this NFL.
Why? Why would they? Jeez,
I
why?
don't know.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. Lord, people stupid. People are stupid. Anyway, continue.
At least it's not the Broncos, Todd. Relax. Another Lemonhead could miss more time. James Cook hurt his little bitty toe. He may not play this week. Panthers rookie running back Jonathan Brooks. He was the highest running back drafted in this year's draft and finally came off the IL. He has returned to practice. Not sure if he's going to play this week because sometimes it takes a couple weeks coming off of that IL. But keep an eye on that. Nick Chubb practicing full on Wednesday. Good news for Lion Rip. Chubb's running mate Jerome Ford did not practice today. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. Packers pass catchers all limited in today's practice. Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, Tucker Kraft. A lot of Colts not practicing today. Trey Sermon, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman. So the Colts signed Salvin Ahmed. Fun. Chiefs running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire practiced in full today. Let's go. Pick him up today before it's too late, folks. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp is doing individual work, but still not practicing. Aaron Jones, Vikings running back, not practicing. Ramondre Stevenson, Pats running back, not practicing. Malik Neighbors, non-contact drills, but not practicing. So still up. I don't think he's going to play this week, but that's what I read. Anything else that you guys want to mention? Anybody from your teams that you're concerned about?
No.
That is a long ass laundry
And there was
list.
more. And there was more. And I was like, I can't do all this.
And news on Tua. I'm just waiting for Tua to get back so Jalen Waddle can be playable again.
Oh, yeah, you and everyone else with Tyreek Hill and HN. It's just been awful, that whole situation. And who knows if he even comes and plays again this year. That's bananas.
If he does, he's just going to get concussed in the first 3 plays.
I know. Geez, that guy can't. Slide. Let's get into the Week 6 recaps. Kilgore Trout continues his winning ways. He sits atop of the MHA, now at 5-1 after defeating the NWA 148-121. The NWA got great days from George Kittle and Tyrone Tracy Jr. How about that rookie running back? Those two combined for 39 points, but Joe is on a mission. 8 of his 9 starters reached double figures, including 18 from Tony Pollard, 14 from Chuba Hubbard, and back-to-back solid weeks from Garrett Wilson. The NWA falls to 3-3. 5 straight wins for Kilgore Trout. The defending champs continue to reel, falling for the 4th straight week. The Butterfingers fall to the Gonzo Cats, who got that much-needed second win and scoring a season-high 170 points. While Todd's favorites and Stephon Diggs and Alvin Kamara combined for 32 points, Brandon Ayuk, ladies and gentlemen, back into a pumpkin, just 3 points. And the tight end woes continue for Todd, just 3 points from Isaiah Likely. Picked up the wrong tight end from the Ravens, as we saw good old Mark Andrews picking up a touchdown this week. On the other side, the Gonzo Cats benefited greatly from a monstrous day from Chris Godwin. Holy cow, 29 points. He's had a great season. DeAndre Swift continues to make me eat my words, 20 points for the Bears running back. And how about that Tampa defense? 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, fumble recovery, and a defensive touchdown, as Kevin mentioned. 23 points. Gonzo Cats now sit at 2-4. Butterfingers at 3-3. Todd, anything you want to say about this matchup, or any kind of plan to turn things around for you?
Well, I'm not playing Ayuk. Screw that guy. I just waste. I'm playing Romeo Dobbs because at least he's doing something. Because like you said, with all the list of wide receivers that were limited for the Packers, he might be the last one standing. So yeah, Ayuk can go screw himself because I almost want to drop him. I almost want to drop him because it's just they don't do anything. Why would you pay him a? Oh my god. Oh yeah, let's move on.
I'll trade you Gabe Davis for him.
Yeah, Gabe
There you
Davis is
go.
probably doing more than I just don't. Now I will say this: the Jaden Daniels, switching. I mean, obviously Purdy and
They
Daniels.
both did well this week, didn't
Yeah,
they?
both did well, but I think I'm going to run with run with Daniels just because of the rushing part of it and so forth. But yeah, Ayuk. I'm just gonna put him on the bench. Put him on the bench, and then if I decide to drop him, then I'll drop him. I really don't care. He's a waste of space. He's a waste of space on my team. 3 points? Come on, man. Come on. It's ridiculous. Like, why would you pay if you didn't want to give him the ball? Why'd you give him $120 million? That's all I gotta say.
I just sent you a trade offer, Todd.
There you go. Trades happening on the podcast. I love it.
Perfect.
In the lowest of lows scoring affairs this weekend, Chad Powers fan club takes down Lion Rip by a final of 105-75. I could have beaten both these chumps this week. AJ Brown returned in a big way for Chad Powers fan club, racking up 17 points. But that's about as exciting as it got in this putrid matchup. Lion Rip had a total of 1 point between Zach Moss, Jerome Ford, and Dallas Goedert. Miles' squad improves to 3-3. Lion Rip drops to 3-3. How about Cooper's Cousins and the Belt Sanders? They battled to the very end of week 6 on Monday night after Cooper's Cousins tallied 55 from Jordan Love, 15 from Tank Dell, and Bijan Robinson had his best day this season, scoring a whopping 25 points. The Belt Sanders reaching out for their second win. They didn't have Mahomes, Kelsey, or Xavier Worthy, but started Bo Nix, and yeah, he got him 43 points. Najee Harris ran his way to the century mark in 19 points. Heading into Monday night, Dylan had Braylon Allen and the Bills' defense, while Allen had kicker Tyler Bass. Bass had 5 points, but Allen and Buffalo's defense combined for 7.76 points. The final, Cooper's Cousins 123.78 to the Belt Sanders 123.66. Fractional scoring, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye on any stat changes that may take place here in the next 24 hours. Kevin, we loving the fractional scoring this year?
Yes, because there would have been a tie for this. I tied twice last year, and I was begging for fractional scoring. So I am loving this close matchup.
Now, I wasn't paying attention to that matchup. I can only imagine what those two owners were going through on Monday night. But I guess that's what it's about. Hopefully this continues and people have a great time with fractional scoring because that is about as close as it gets. Notorious CUP piles up 150 points to take down the Lemonheads for the second time this season. Scary Terry McLaurin. Loving his new quarterback. He scores a season-high 20 points. I know that's one of Kevin's guys. We've seen him on the team a couple of times in his career. He hauled in 2 touchdowns. CUP had 8 of his 9 guys reach double figures, including 19 from Kenny Walker III and 15 from Zay Flowers. Lemonheads could only muster up 112 points this week. Negative points from Chris Olave. What a chump. And 2 points from Stank Bigsby. Jeez. CUP riding high at 5-1. Yours truly in the dumps at 1-5. We'll finish with the Hot Tamales taking on the Eaton W's. For the Tamales, Derrick Henry continues to mash this season. 25 more points. But he had more points than Dak Prescott did, who only had 20. Versus Detroit's usually abysmal Lions secondary. No Malik Neighbors for Mikey, but Jaden Reed was back. 13 points on Jordan Love's big day. But Saquon had his worst day of the season, just 7 points and 47 rush yards and 2 receptions. On the other side, CJ Stroud more than doubled up Dak for 44 points. Breece Hall rebounded after 2 bad weeks in a row. The Jets running back scored 19. And how about one of Mikey's preseason guys in Chase Brown? 3rd week in a row, the Bengals running back had reached double figures for K-Hall's squad. This one ended in a 131-112 victory for Eaton W's, who improved to 3-3, while the Tamales have dropped 2 in a row, now sit at 4-2. Kevin, Mikey, you guys want to talk about this matchup, how things kind of played out for you guys this week?
Dak was
Do you want to go
brutal.
first, Mikey?
Yeah, Dak was brutal. I mean, when your quarterback gets you 20 points, and he was lucky to get that, just watching that game, I kept telling myself, man, can I get at least one drive? Like, I know they're down by like 30 points or 40 points, whatever. Can I get at least one drive to score a touchdown to give me a chance? And it was either 3 and out or he was throwing picks. Yeah, it was just against the Lions too, who Geno Smith,
Yeah.
made look foolish, in the last game. It just didn't make sense. Saquon was terrible, but Philly, for the most part in that game, I don't know what the hell they were doing, struggling with the crappy Browns. And then, yeah, I mean, I was like, maybe I've got a little glimmer of hope. That Sunday night game, Chase Brown hadn't done shit. Like, they're on that last drive. He fumbles the ball, and they get, lucky that, the ball goes out of bounds. The Giants don't recover. And then I told Aaron, I blame commentators for this. They bring up some stupid stat where the Bengals are like 1 in 170 when they score 10 or less points. And they had exactly 10 points at the time. Very next play, Chase Brown goes 40 yards for a touchdown. I'm like, all right, I don't have to watch the Monday night game. So, oh, good.
Well, so Chase Brown, he had a touchdown like in the second quarter or like third quarter called back for like a really weak holding call.
I know.
It's like he scores. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, this is it. That's a win right there. And then it gets called back. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to have to come down to Monday night, isn't it? And Brees Hall, who hasn't been great, is going to have to get me like 10 points to win. And thank God it didn't come down to that, because after the morning games on Sunday, I wasn't feeling too confident from my guys.
So, Mikey, just a rough stretch here, just unlucky with some of the buys and injuries. Some of your thoughts of 2 losses in a row for you.
I don't consider it a rough stretch. Like,
Okay.
this week was a bad loss. The week before, I scored almost 150, but,
Yeah.
Joe had the record game of all time. So I can't really, say that was a bad loss.
No.
This one was brutal. Injuries are hurting me, especially at wide receiver right now. But, I mean, I'll be okay.
I mean, your bench only scored 40 points less than your starters.
Yeah. Hey, I'm set at this running back position. I should probably unload some of these guys to help my receivers. We'll see.
There you go. If people interested in some running backs, Mikey's got some. Kevin, anything?
Can I raise my hand?
There you go. There you go. You guys can talk. Look, Kevin's making all kinds of trades on the podcast. We need to bring him on more often. Doe of the week. I saw 2. Kevin kind of mentioned it. Tamales had some guys on the bench. If he would have started Dobbins and Montgomery over Jacobs and Barkley, he would have won 133.87 to 131.78. Or we could go the NWA route, who could have started Baker Mayfield over Lamar Jackson, Tyler Algier over Justice Hill, and it would have given G Squad the 156 to 148 win. Any thoughts on those 2?
I mean, I'm kind of looking towards Belt Sanders.
Oh.
Like, on such a close matchup, he could have started Jawan Jennings over Jerry Jeudy and won that matchup.
Yeah, that was the one I had.
I mean, that is kind of funny, because he'd started him, for 2 weeks in a row, and he hadn't 2 or 3 weeks in a row, he hadn't done anything, and he doesn't start him, and then he ends up losing because he put in Jerry Jeudy. That's kind of funny.
Which Jeudy hadn't done a whole lot this season anyway, so it's just
He has not.
So that was kind of where I went.
Okay.
On the Doe.
I'm not against that if everybody else feels the same way.
Yeah, the only reason I can't go with me is because Montgomery I actually considered. Dobbins I didn't. Denver had been pretty good against the run, and I wasn't taking Saquon out. So
yeah,
it's also hard when it's a combined players. So it's like the other one, like Belt Sanders, it's one player that you could have done, but with like NWA and with Mikey, it's like, oh, if you'd played this combination of like 2 or 3 players, like you could have won. Like that's just like that's rough luck.
True, very true. Well, there you go. Alan, I'm with you at 1 and 5. I feel bad, but you were closer than I was. You get the dough of the week. All right. You guys want to play some MHA trivia? Kevin, you down for this?
Why not? Love trivia.
Let's do it.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
All right. Well, I was just looking over some stats and trying to figure out what should we base this on. And so I was happy to be looking over the wide receivers and looking at who leads the league in receptions. And there's some funky names on this list. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through and figure out who leads the league in receptions, not in points, in receptions. And so whoever gets the 4 first will win MHA trivia. And as always, we're going to start with Todd. That's how we roll here on the MHA podcast. I guess maybe should we go, Kevin, since he's a guest?
Yeah, why not?
Let's do that. Let's bring Kevin. We'll let you go first, Kevin. Give me someone I have the top 14 here on my list because 3 of them are tied for 10th. And so, or actually third for 12th. So go. Give me a name.
Well, after this past week, I'm going to have to go Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin. Number 1 on the list, ladies and gentlemen. 43 receptions, 511 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's having a great season with Baker Mayfield. On to Todd Diamond. Give me a wide receiver that is near the top of the league in receptions.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. Let me look at my list. Very good. Jamar Chase is actually 7th. He's got 34 receptions, 565 yards, and 3 TDs. So he's definitely making up for those kind of putrid first couple of weeks. Over to Mikey.
Okay.
What do you got?
I don't know if I'm going to be right about this, but all I keep hearing with this Devontae Adams trade is that Garrett Wilson was the most targeted. Doesn't mean he's caught the most, but I'll say Garrett Wilson.
He's actually 2nd. Remember how slow of a start Garrett Wilson had at the beginning of the season? He's now up to 41 receptions. He's been huge the last couple of weeks. So you guys gotten the number 1, the number 2, and the number 7. Let's go back to Kevin.
Is this just wide receivers?
No, this is all running backs, wide receivers, but not tight ends. Tight ends is not a part of this. If they were in that mix, I could, but this is all wide receivers or running backs. Good question. Very good question.
Because otherwise I'm going to suggest Brock Bowers because he's been good for me.
Yeah, he would have been tied for 4th, it looks like, if he was in this list. So that's your boy, right?
Yeah. I feel like Kirk Cousins has been going to Drake London a lot. I'll go Drake London.
Drake London, huh? Very good. He's actually 3rd. 38 receptions, 428 yards, and 4 TDs. He's another guy that kind of came slow out of the gate. Maybe this all has to do with people not playing in the preseason. Go figure. All right, back to you, Todd.
Stephon Diggs.
Your boy? You think your boy is in the top 12 here?
Why not?
He is. He's 5th. 37 receptions, 280 yards, and 2 TDs. Over to you, Miguel.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
All right. So he hasn't had the best of years, but because they don't throw to anybody else, I'll say CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, huh? After that just putrid game against with Dak and his 20 points. You're correct, however. CeeDee Lamb actually 11th on the list. He's got 32 receptions to go along with 467 yards and 2 TDs. Remember last season when CeeDee Lamb had something like 140 receptions? That production's been down a little bit here this season. 2, 2, and 2. You guys are killing it right now. Kevin, back to you.
Let's go Scary Terry. Terry McLaurin.
Scary Terry McLaurin. That is not a bad guess. And he unfortunately is not in that initial 12 to 14, I would say. He's right there, though. He's got 29 receptions, 356 yards, and 4 touchdowns, but just outside of the list. We get our first first wrong answer. Over to you, Todd.
Amron St. Brown.
Who's that? I don't even know who that is.
Sorry.
Are you talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown,
St. Brown
from
there we go.
Detroit?
Yes.
He's actually tied for 12th. He's got 31 receptions, 289 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Todd takes the lead. Over to you, Miguel.
It's getting rough because I'm just thinking.
Yeah, there's some names on here.
Teams that
Might be
have
hard to
not
reach.
had bye weeks yet.
There are a couple guys that have had bye weeks.
Well, yeah, I was surprised. That's why I was surprised Amon-Ra was on there.
Yep.
I'm just gonna take a real random shot in the dark. I'll say Zay Flowers.
Yeah, that's who I got to face. I've gotten to face Zay Flowers twice this year. It's been great. Zay Flowers, 33 receptions, so he is 9th in that category. So 3, 3, and 2. K-Hall, you need a big correct answer here.
Let's go Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors, he's missed 2 games. But you're correct. He has been incredible.
Those first couple ones.
Yeah, 35 receptions, ladies and gentlemen, and he's missed the last 2 games. 8, so he had 5 receptions in game 1, 10, 8, and 12 since then. Well done. All right, Todd, you can win MHA Trivia, I think for the second week in a row if you get this. Give me a guess. Uh-oh, he's struggling.
It's hard.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's take a look here. I don't even see him on the first page. I may have to go to the next 25 to find this gentleman, unless I just totally missed him. Ooh, goodness gracious. He's not even on the second page. I'm going to have to look up his receptions here. Marvin Harrison, huh? Let's take a look here. Yeah, just 17 receptions. Does have 4 touchdowns, though. Mikey, chance to bring it back home to Tamale-land for an MHA Trivia win.
So I want to do this just because we've talked so much about him on the podcast this year, and you mentioned running backs included. So I'm going to say Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara, huh? You really think that he is in the mix?
I hope so.
Oh, I'm so sorry. He has 28 receptions, but he's not in the top 12 to 14. So, sorry, Miguel. Kevin, a chance to get back into. You can win with a correct answer here.
All right. Who's been targeted a lot? I'm trying to think of my other leagues. Let's go DK Metcalf.
Ooh, that is a very, very good guess. But is it enough? Is he in the top 12? He sure is. He actually is tied for 12, 31 receptions. Kevin Hall, you win MHA Trivia.
Let's go.
I would send you a prize, but I don't have anything. I'm at the bottom of the league. I have nothing. I'll just say congratulations. Some of the other names you missed on the list. How about Wandale Robinson? He's fourth in receptions with 37, 280 yards, and 2 TDs. How about Jackson Smith and Jigba? 34 receptions, 310 yards, and 1 touchdown. A guy that has missed a week due to an injury, Nico Collins. Remember how good he was before he got hurt? 32 receptions. Also, DJ Moore, 31 receptions. And so those are the guys that lead the league in receptions. Well done. You guys got a lot of names out of that. Let's get into some of the studs from this week.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
Kevin, who stood out this week amongst all of our fantasy players this weekend? Week 6.
My boy Chris Godwin, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
He crushed it.
What's been the difference?
He's moved more into like his natural position in like the slot area under their new offensive coordinator. So he is just way more confident in that area. He gets a lot more of the close like slant routes or little screens, allow him to do a lot more. Because last year he was kind of put on the outside trying to do deep shots and deep crossing routes, which kind of isn't his MO. So under their new offensive coordinator, he's a lot more comfortable in his current role.
Big time for Gonzo Cats. I know he's got his 2 wins, but he's definitely trying to kind of dig his way out. And boy, man, that is a big time game. 29.25 points. Todd, give me another stud from this past weekend.
I'm gonna go with Joe's team. Garrett Wilson, 19 points against Buffalo. I mean, obviously that defense is pretty good as well, but I mean, obviously, I know with the addition of Devontae Adams now in the mix, it might actually help Garrett Wilson even more going forward. But I'll give it to Garrett Wilson, 19 points for him.
Yeah, there was a lot of concerns with Garrett Wilson at the beginning of the year. Again, it could be due to no one really playing in the preseason. But man, the last couple of weeks, he's really picked up his game. 13 receptions 2 weeks ago, 8 receptions this week, over the century mark 2 weeks in a row, a couple of touchdowns, big time for Kilgore Trout, who's now on top of the league. Mikey, another stud from this week.
Well, I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin.
Scary Terry McLaurin. He was on my list too, because that dude, I've always badmouthed him over the years. And this week, right against me, in my face, was great.
Well, yeah, you badmouth him for a reason. He's like always one of those guys in the draft where you're like, he's okay. I don't really want him because he's so damn inconsistent all the time. And, this was the first time in 3 years since 2021, and that was early 2021, that he had 2 touchdown receptions in a game.
Wow, nice stat, Miguel.
Yeah, maybe Jaden Daniels is unlocking the scary part here in October of Scary Terry McLaurin.
Ooh, look at Mikey bringing the madness. Well done. One stud I saw was Bijan Robinson. 25 monster points. The first round pick for Cooper's cousin shines through in a matchup that he desperately needed here. 95 rush yards, 3 receptions, 2 rushing touchdowns. He's 8th amongst our running backs with 85 points. And so, there were some moments this year we just didn't know what we were going to get out of Bijan. He's drafted incredibly high as one of the top running backs, but he's figured his way through this Atlanta offense with Kirk Cousins. He was a slow starter, but the offense is rolling right now. And he's had 9 or more points in every game this season, but 25, definitely a season high. Kevin, any other studs you want to talk about this week?
Let's see who else. You got some people who weren't starting, like some good guys.
Well, yeah, I guess if they were kind of like, surprises and maybe they should be starting for people, I'm down to hear whoever you want to talk about.
I was surprised at how well Caleb Williams did, honestly.
No kidding. How about that?
He led, I think, all quarterbacks. He was the highest scoring point total in the league this week, and he was on the bench. And it didn't even matter because he won anyway.
Yeah. Maybe trade bait for people that need a quarterback, for sure. Yeah, I know Dylan was texting me just because of Keenan Allen, and he was really concerned because Keenan Allen ended up having 2 touchdowns. Lucky it didn't come back to bite him, but yeah, almost 60 points for Caleb Williams, 4 touchdown passes, 23 completions. He's picked it up. This is his second 50-point game. Jacksonville, the absolute worst in terms of quarterbacks, points allowed. Caleb Williams on a bye this week, so Cooper Cousins won't have him, but then we'll get Washington, who's pretty bad at it as well. Todd, is there another stud you want to talk about?
He's on Kilgore anyway.
What's that? Oh, Kilgore. Yes. And I was talking about just, I guess, his production with Cooper's Cousins, who has all those. He doesn't have them anymore, but he had all those wide receivers: DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and all that fun stuff. But you're right, Kilgore has Caleb Williams, not Cooper's Cousins. Todd, any stud out there?
DeAndre Swift.
Geez, that kid.
I think I'd go back and look and listen to some of their podcasts, but I don't think I was very high on DeAndre Swift going in, but he's definitely helped Caleb Williams out a lot. 91 yards rushing and a touchdown, and again, especially for a rookie quarterback, besides a tight end, a running back is a rookie quarterback's best friend, and he's takes the pressure off a little bit, and it's paying off for him.
Yeah, I felt like I buried him 3 weeks ago, and ever since then, 25, 17, and 20. Eric doesn't know what he's talking. I don't even know why I'm hosting this podcast, honestly. Maybe just because I pay for the service, but I definitely don't know what I am doing. Don't listen to me. I think Dylan even asked me a question about who should I start. I was like, do not ask me. There's 10 other owners in this league that could help you out. I am not the one to do it. Mikey, did you have another stud this week, or should we go to some duds?
No, I got another stud. Chuba Hubbard, like
Jesus, it's every week.
for real, like what is going on? Like he's fifth in points amongst running backs. Like he was decent at the end part of last year, but he's getting scoring, and like Todd talked about how much he loved Jonathan Brooks, who's now coming off IR. But I mean, right now, if I'm the Panthers, like who cares? Because like Chuba Hubbard is putting up points. Like they're giving him the carries. Like they've unlocked. He's getting 5 targets a game. Like man, Chuba Hubbard, impressive.
No kidding. One other guy I want to mention, and I want to ask Kevin because he's a Tampa Bay fan. I saw Aaron picked him up today, but Sean Tucker, is that something we should expect going forward? This dude, 31 fantasy points, 136 rush yards on 14 carries with a touchdowns, 3 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown. Is this just the matchup that worked out well, or is he someone that may help Aaron here for the rest of the season?
No, it's definitely more of a matchup thing. So Rashad White was out. He's normally the starting running back, and then Bucky Irving is the backup. No Rashad White, Bucky Irving is the starting, and then Sean Tucker was the backup. And they were just kind of going back and forth because both guys had huge weeks.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sean Tucker had the bigger week. But once Rashad White comes back, then it'll be split up into 3 running backs. And so it's just going to be even more of a running back craziness. So like it was great that he had this kind of week, especially against the Saints, because I hate them. But I don't think he's like going to maintain that production, like even come close to it for the rest of the season.
But are all 3 of those running backs like have different skill set? There's not one that's just like a bruiser, like a Derrick Henry. Just like all of them are kind of like you catch the ball really well, out of the backfield and everything. So,
I mean, Rashad
they
White's
just
skill set is getting tackled at the first touch, so that's not great.
okay? That's a good
Bucky
one.
Irvin's much more physical of a runner.
Mm-hmm.
Rashad White, I think, is a bit better of a pass catcher than Tucker.
Okay.
Tucker, I think, just literally just took the opportunity in front of him and took advantage of that.
So he's more of a bulldozer type back then.
Yeah, I mean, they use him on kickoffs, so he can kind of plow through some guys a little bit easier. But yeah, it's weird. They don't have like that huge goal line back like some other people do.
I was just curious. I just see that you see a number like 31 points. You're like, whoa, could this be a different? I mean, obviously he wasn't picked up off of waivers. I mean, Aaron picked him up after the waivers already went through. So we'll see.
I mean, it was much more of the Saints defense just really shit the bed.
Yeah, remember when they were like scoring 50 points a game and Derek Carr looked like he was going to be in the MVP conversation? Boy, that was a long time ago. Let's get into the duds.
This is the worst. You are the worst. I hate looking at your face. I want to smash it.
Mikey, we'll start with you this time.
Okay, I have to do this with Allen and Tyler Bass. Like Monday night, like he kicked an extra point into the corner part of the end zone. He shanked it so bad that like Joe Buck was like, and Troy Aikman were making fun of him. Like I think Peyton Manning was making a joke about his 4-iron. I would have been losing my mind. Like Allen lost by less than a point, and this dude shanked an extra point that badly.
Wow.
So he goes on number 1 on my dud list.
That is a great dud.
They said that I was gonna say the joke when they how bad that kick was. They said the kid that kicked the field goal for game day or whatever could have kicked the field goal better than Bass did for that one.
Stank. Kevin, give me a dud.
I mean, there were a lot of guys that scored 0 or under. So I mean, I gotta look at your team. Like Chris Olave, like obviously your whole team was kind of a dud, but Olave scoring negative points. Literally, the first ball he catches out of the day, fumbles, and then gets a concussion. Like that's just a full on just circus right there. I think that's gotta be a dud.
Sometimes I curse that I have to work Sundays due to soccer. This year, not so much. It's been giving me something to do. It has been a rough year, and I'll just continue on with that theme. Good old Stank Bigsby, who was 24 points 1 week ago, had an okay match against Chicago, but man, just 2 points, 2 points when Travis Etienne wasn't doing well either. Now I know that game script probably did not favor him because they got behind and Caleb Williams went bananas, but. Man, come on, dude. Come on. Not good. Stank Kevin. Todd, you have a dud?
Well, we'll actually have some breaking news.
I like breaking news.
Brandon Ayuk is officially off the Butterfingers. He's gone.
Oh, did you trade him?
I just traded him right now.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Let's give us the details.
So I
Come on,
traded Brandon.
Schefter.
Yeah, I traded Brandon Ayuk for Daryl Moody.
Daryl Mooney?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Switching it up. Mikey, who wins that trade?
Well,
Putting you on the spot.
I would still take Ayuk. I mean, he's shown there's more proven value in Ayuk. Mooney's been really good, but I think Kevin wins it slightly.
There you have it. Let's see if a trade happens between Mikey and Kevin before the end of the podcast.
I mean, so Darnell Mooney was almost not on my team. Dylan offered me a trade for him like last week for Keenan Allen for Darnell Mooney. And I was just like, I don't want Keenan Allen on my team.
And then Keenan Allen scores 2 touchdowns. See, none of us know what's really going on with fantasy.
Exactly. Darnell Mooney scores like 6 points.
Yeah. I picked him up in a different league and did not help me whatsoever. Where we at here? Mike, you have another dud you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I got to go with Dak Prescott. Like, it's got to be one of his worst performances he's ever had in his career. Like, no touchdowns was the first time all year that's happened. He couldn't even. He was having trouble like getting a first down. Like 20 points is just so terribly bad, and it cost me. So he earns my second dud.
Geno Smith, 61 points against Detroit's defense. 50 from Matt Stafford. Yeah, that's a tough one to say the least.
He didn't even play in the fourth quarter. They benched him.
Oh, no kidding. Well, I guess at that point you don't want to get hurt. Yeah, they knew they were out of it. Todd, you have another dud?
Well, I'm just going to give a dud that I just traded away. Brandon Ayuk, only 3 points. So, Kevin, you know, as much as this is competitive and we all want to win, but you know what? I'll just say it because I'm 2-3 right now and got to change it up. I hope Brandon Ayuk helps you because he wasn't helping me, and I don't know, maybe the $120 million is keeping him warm at night because that's so. I would say good luck with him. Good luck. I mean, if he helps you,
a culture change.
Yeah, maybe he needs a culture change. So if he works out for you, mazel tov. So go for it.
Mazel tov. Kevin, another dud from this week.
Let's go. Aaron's running backs. Yeah. Zach Moss and Jerome Ford combined.
He dropped Jerome Ford too, by the way.
Oh, really?
Nick Chubb's back, so
he's coming. Yeah, he's got Chubb coming back, so that's no need for Ford, especially since he got injured. Yeah, combined 2.2 points.
Yeah, 1.8 points.
1.8. Math was not my strong suit. But
Journalism, kid.
Not good. And let's add on Dallas Goedert just to add on 0 points.
Yeah, let's throw it on. Yeah, and Shakir didn't do well either. 75 points for Aaron, not good week.
I felt so bad for him because I was watching the games with Aaron, and like Ford got hurt in the first quarter, Goddard got hurt in the first quarter of the game, both hamstrings. So like, especially with their hamstrings, like they're not coming back. Like so, he kind of knew he was done really early, and then Zach Moss had fumbled like really early in that Sunday night game. He goes, watch. He goes, they're going to punish him. They're not going to put him back in the game. And he was right. Chase Brown played every snap after that. Zach Moss never got back on the field.
Rough. That's brutal stuff, man. Because 105, it's almost like reachable in some respects. But yeah, that's a rough week, to say the least. One guy I want to talk about is how about Calvin Ridley? Where has he been all season? He didn't have he had 9 rush yards. So he had 0.90 of a point, 9 receptions total on the season. 1 touchdown, one of the biggest busts this season. NWA has unfortunately had to deal with that all season. Calvin Ridley, a guy that has just been awful.
Did you
Unless you
see
guys
his
want to talk.
post-game press conference?
No, I did not.
So in the
Can you
locker
share?
room, he was asked about it, and he was just like, "I got to get more stuff. Like, I don't know what the to tell you." Like,
There
he
you go.
was pissed in the post game.
These receivers, man, if they aren't getting their touch, well, maybe he get traded to the Jets too. Maybe he get traded. Next week's schedule. The league's top team, Kilgore Trout, 5-1, will take on 2-4 Butterfingers. Sorry to hear that, Todd. Also 5-1, Notorious CUP. They're taking on, guess who? Me. Hooray! No, I'm just kidding. They're not playing me. I played CUP twice already. But it's just funny. Even Quayne was like, "Are we playing each other again this week?" I felt like we played each other quite a bit. No, CUP, they're facing off against 2-4 Gonzo Cats. Hot Tamales, they're 4-2. They'll test their mettle against the NWA, who are 3-3. 4-2 Cooper's Cousins. They'll take on our special guest here, Eaton W's, who are 3-3. Chad Powers Fan Club at 3-3. They get a nice matchup, of course, with yours truly, 1-5 Lemonheads and 1-5 Belt Sanders, toe to toe against 3-3 Lion Rip. Kevin, have you looked at your matchup yet? How are you feeling going into this week?
I mean, Dylan's got to make some moves because he's got 2 tight ends that are on bye right now.
Ooh,
and his wide receivers, like he's got Marvin Harrison, who's likely concussed, and then Achan with a terrible team. So as long as I play the right guys, I think I can win. But I mean, that's easier said than done. I mean, I've thought about changing my team name just because of that.
Whoa. Changing the team name.
I have
I
not
wish I had the
been
balls to do
eating
that.
too many W's, so I don't know if eating W's is the long move here.
You have 3,
So
that's plural.
Sure, but
I'm eating
just
W.
overall, since I changed it, like I think back in the day I was Globex Corporation. Changed that
That
to
was
eating
cool.
W's.
That was cool. That I support that. That's a great name.
Let me ask you,
But
Amari Cooper is on your squad. He is now with Josh Allen. How does that make you feel?
that makes me feel good. Like I
Yeah.
will take Josh Allen over Deshaun Watson any day of the week.
Man, that is going to help you, I feel, immensely to be able to have some sort of consistency. And Cooper's had some good weeks with Deshaun Watson, but man, oh man, that's a different beast right there. I think that's great. Mikey, how you feeling about your matchup this week?
I'm seeing a lot of red Qs on my lineup, so not the best. I'm hoping that those red Qs turn into, red peas, and then we can get some guys playing. No Dak this week, so be rolling Kirk Cousins against Seattle. See what comes
That
of
should be
that.
high scoring.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I mean, I like my chances. I look at NWA's team, and it's all right, and he's 3-3, so that makes sense.
He's all right. He's all right. All right, Todd. And what about you before we get out of here? How are you feeling about your matchup this week?
Well, I mean, rematch again of the championship game, but traded Ayuk away. We'll see if I play Moody. I mean, I like Romeo Dobbs, his matchup a little bit better. But we'll see what happens. I mean, at this point now, the saying goes, gotta try something new. Gotta try something new.
I can appreciate
And Eric,
that.
you think you're going to get your second win?
No.
No.
I mean, you look over his team and it doesn't look overwhelming, but Wandale's been great. Jamar Chase has been great. We'll see how Herbert does against Arizona. Usually Arizona's friendly to quarterbacks, but Connor's been good. Hunt, I think 9 or more the last couple of weeks. So no, I'm not feeling great because my team just hasn't been consistent. I'm running around here with 2 Detroit wide receivers. Good old Bucky Irvin. James Cook may not play this week. So I'm going to have to bring up Tanks Bigsby again. I don't know. No, I just don't feel good. No, I feel terrible. No. I'm going to be thinking about number 1 or number 2 pick next year. So, boy, it's been a rough go of it. Well, Kevin, thanks for coming on the show. You're welcome to come on anytime. I'm glad things are going well for you in California. And good luck to you and your Bucks the rest of the season.
Thanks. I mean, I'll see you guys in, 3 weeks when I play you, Eric. So
Well,
I'll come on after I beat you.
Plenty of W's to be eaten. Plenty of W's to be eaten. Well, yeah, we'll be happy to have you on. Todd, Mikey, as always, thanks for coming on this Wednesday night. We'll try to get this out tonight so people can get ready for upcoming Week 7. The season continues on here in the MHA. I'm Eric Lansing, and we'll see you next time.